my name is Jen Ennis. I have been working with ECC for almost 2 years. I'm one of the early childhood specialists, working as a coach for the Starting Strong program. I graduated from Black Hills State with a degree in psychology, a minor in commercial art. And as a child, I just really enjoyed being outside, exploring, getting my hands in the dirt, and just playing around. So this is a topic that I am super excited to teach on. Awesome to be here.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
When I plan these events, I always try to think about the feedback from you providers on what you're hoping to hear. Maybe things we've seen in the field, like, us at ECC, we talk about trends and things. And then things that I know of people that are passionate about. And I knew Jen and Marissa both love to be outside. They are active hikers and get out and doers. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to these too. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. This topic tonight, it's deeply rooted in child development and it becomes even more urgent in today's world. So outdoor play, exploration, and learning in early childhood is not separate from being outdoors and in nature. And the conversation isn't just about recess, playgrounds, or getting them out to burn off the energy. Those are all great, but there's so much more to it. We're going to talk about what the importance lies in with movement and regulation, their curiosity, their health, their connection, and just the fundamental ways that children learn best. Something that I wanted to bring up is the AAP's recent statement. So, the American Academy of Pediatrics, they just put out a statement about the importance of physical movement and the importance of recess in elementary. And we've seen the pendulum swing so far right, where there's hardly any outdoor time for elementary students. And now we are seeing scientific based facts and statements from the AAP saying, actually, you need to get these children outside. So we're going to use that as our launching point. And when you guys then go back and practice and stay outside with your kids all 3 hours of the morning, and you have a parent who's upset that they didn't do any alphabet worksheets that day, you can say, actually, I'm following what the AAP says and what the experts at ECC say, and we're getting outside and we're learning. So hopefully tonight you guys take away a reignited passion, maybe some ideas, some examples, and there's going to be all ages, all stages, all facilities, so it's going to apply to everyone. And I'm excited, and I'm not going to keep you from the conversation any longer. Before we jump into the topic, just some quick data points on what happens when children go outside, why we need to. So, the experts are going to dive a little bit deeper into this, but getting outside is crucial for children's growth. And it shows that just 2 hours a day of outdoors time, of moderate to vigorous physical activity by 27%, increases their healthy mental state, increases their focus and their attention, decreases ADHD symptoms. It enhances their creativity. So, just the benefits of just getting outside for that little bit of time, it's astronomical. So, we're going to dive into more of the why, but I wanted to throw this up here and just for you guys to see all of the benefits of just getting you and your kiddos outside. Okay, we're going to turn it over to the experts, and you're going to learn more about connecting children to nature, movement, wonder, and learning. And we're going to start tonight with Marissa.
Uh, why is outdoor learning? Why does it matter so much? It's just so crucial for the kiddos because it just enhances their physical health, like Rose was saying, in all different ways, and their mental well being, their social skills, their overall education outcomes. It this whole connection with nature, and it just builds so strongly. Mud is like nature's way of adding texture to childhood. I read that the other day. I feel like that's like really meaty for like getting the point across of how important it is to be outside with our kiddos in nature. Why should we get their hands in the dirt and in the mud? Because it promotes physical, emotional, cognitive benefits like a stronger immune system. The exposures to the microbes in the soil, it trains their immune system. It potentially lowers the risk of allergies, asthma, autoimmune diseases. And if, kids that are raised in like a clean house and not out in the forest, they kind of, I feel like they really can miss the beneficial microbes, which have really co-evolved with humans over the millennia. And there's been studies that show early exposure to diverse microbes, like the ones in the dirts. It supports the balanced immune response. Like I grew up on a farm in the dirt, and I'm never sick. My husband grew up in the city in a clean house. He's sick all the time, and he's got asthma. Like I feel like the studies kind of know what they're doing. And it also, yeah, like Rose said, it promotes better mental health for kiddos, and it's so integral to important to start that at an early age. And again, with the soil, it's got the microbes. They're called the Mycobacterium vaccae, and it's linked to mood boosting effects in the studies. And so exposure during the early childhood, it helps them develop resilience and it reduces anxiety, and it supports better mental health later in life, which is huge for our kiddos.
Okay, we're going to pop over to Jen to add on to that.
Okay. So, like Rose said earlier, outdoor learning is not taking away from your learning time. It's actually bringing it more to life. The outdoors naturally create situations where kids need to work together and think creatively, and they overcome challenges that way. A lot of indoor activities have a specific outcome, but outdoor play is often very open-ended, so it allows children to take the lead in their learning and interactions. And it also increases opportunities for these things on the screen here. So it encourages children to work together toward shared goals. So like if they're building a fort with sticks and logs, they're working together. Maybe they're creating games and coming up with their own rules or just taking turns on the playground. They're cooperating, helping each other navigate things, obstacles. These require communication, negotiation, sharing, and resolving disagreements. So all of these things will strengthen their cooperative skills. Like I said, outdoor play is less structured. So children frequently need to adapt their plans. So they need to be flexible. Maybe they need to change the rules of a game if another kiddo wants to join, or they are following a obstacle course and there's a giant puddle in the way, so they have to find a different route. So just because there's no single right answer, the children can practice problem solving, they're thinking creatively, and just on the ball. So they're also showing persistence. Outdoor play presents challenges that require repeated effort. So maybe they're trying to climb a hill or a playground structure that's really, really hard, but they really want to do it and it's difficult, but they're showing persistence. They want to keep going. Balancing on logs or other structures that's a hard thing to do too. But another fun challenge for these kiddos. Maybe they're building in the sandbox and their sand structure continues to fall over, but they want to be persistent and continue on with that. These experience teaches that success often comes through practice, perseverance, and helping them develop resilience when these things are hard for them. And then finally, as children explore and overcome challenges outside, they gain a sense of competence, independence, and self-confidence. When they do something successfully, maybe crossing that balance beam that they've been struggling with, they feel capable. It reinforces belief in their abilities. And then making decisions about how to play fosters a sense of autonomy. They're working on the ability to think and reason and make choices based on their own internal values rather than conforming to pressures externally. So each accomplishment will build confidence and it encourages children to take on these new challenges.
Thank you, Jen. And I want to add on, a lot of these pictures come from the school that Marisa teaches at in Oregon, or when I was teaching in Spearfish. So a lot of real life stories and pictures. Marisa, I don't know if you want to add anything to this picture, let them know anything about it.
Yeah, we worked on building this fort for a long time, and it took persistence, like you're saying, Jen. It takes time and just to overcome challenges of different types of sticks and teamwork, working together to get that big stick up, but making sure, you're watching out for the other kiddos, and they've got to come together and create that, and they've got to communicate too, and they've got to negotiate, take turns, and collaborate together in this environment. And because they're outdoors, it's lower pressure, and if you're in the walls of like a classroom, it's harder, I think, for the kids. The pressure is there. And so, yeah, this is my kids. And so, yeah. And I wanted to add too, also when they're out in the environments, all their senses are really being fully encompassed. I mean, they're seeing, they're smelling, they're touching all the mud, they're making things, they're digging, they're finding the worms, and just the sensory processing and all the fine motor skills that, or gross motor skills, like with this fort, they're all coming into play. That promotes a emotional well-being, which is what we want for our kids.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, sticking with Jen, on to our next point.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about why it's important to get these kiddos outside, and learn a little bit about the benefits that they're getting from outdoor education. So first of all, preschool age children have the highest activity level of any age in the human lifespan. So they need daily exercise, and they need good programs with creativity and lots of free movement. So regular outdoor activity for children usually means a stronger body and improved physical benefits across some of these key areas. So the large muscle development is dealing with those gross motor skills. This develops when they're using the large muscles of their body. Outdoor environments encourage children to use their large muscles through, like running and climbing and jumping and crawling and lifting. And when they're navigating through all these playground equipment, or through the trees, they're playing tag, just exploring the natural spaces. They're strengthening those arms and legs and core muscles. The gross motor development provides the foundation for more complex skills as these kids grow. And it even will kind of lay the groundwork for fine motor skills. It builds, the core and the upper body strength. And that will give children like postural control, stability, and that's all required when you're doing intricate tasks using your fingers. So that helps with fine motor too, which is kind of interesting. Um, Balance and coordination. So obviously when they're running around outside, there's not a whole lot of flat surfaces like you find indoors. You have grass and hills and logs and sand, and this all challenges children's balance more effectively than tile, inside the building. And activities like balancing on stepping stones or natural objects does help improve their body control. And it also helps with their hand-eye and foot-eye coordination through games, and um, throwing and catching and kicking, and even just tracking moving objects. Um, Strength and endurance kind of relates, but climbing these structures, maybe they're pulling heavy wagons, or using their arms to really dig deep, and make a big hole, carrying materials. This all will help build their muscular strength. And then over longer periods of active play, this is going to increase their cardiovascular endurance and then their stamina as well. So they're going to be able to do these physical activities for longer, and they're developing confidence in their abilities all along too. So, and like Marisa was saying earlier, there's so many health benefits to being outside. Um, it naturally increases movement, which, then will help them maintain their healthy growth and physical fitness. Um, the exposure to natural sunlight helps support the body's production of vitamin D, which is really important to your bone health. Um, Physical activity outdoors can reduce stress, improve your mood, support emotional regulation. Time outdoors is also associated with better sleep patterns and increased, it helps your body regulate its circadian rhythm, which is in your internal clock.
Mhm.
So this will help kids go to bed easier. So parents will like that too. Their bedtime routines will hopefully be a little bit easier for them. They'll get better sleep quality, and it'll also improve their focus and cognitive function too. And just helps promote healthy lifelong habits. Like we said before, if they get used to being outside a lot when they're young, they're going to continue that when they get older. So that's a good lifestyle to promote. And then there's more varied movement opportunities than when you're inside because you typically have more space. They can move their bodies a little bit faster. They can jump farther. They can climb. Most indoor environments don't really allow that. So natural settings also offer a great variety of physical challenges. They encourage the children to adapt their movements to different situations. And a lot of outdoor play is open-ended, so they get to choose their activities that match their interest and developmental needs.
Perfect. And I can attest to what Jen said. I have twin 4-year-olds, so that preschool age definitely has the most physical activity of any.
They never stop.
Mhm.
They
No.
just keep going.
Huh?
And if you already have them outdoors now, they're going to want to continue to be out in the forest, just going.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit about the social emotional benefits now. Like we said, it naturally reduces stress and improves their well-being when they're outside. I know as a teacher, I always felt that too. Bringing my class outside, I felt better. And I could tell that my kids did as well. Time outside will lower their anxiety and their mental fatigue. You just get rejuvenated and refreshed. Um, Also, nature settings can be calming to kids too. They're able to express themselves and manage their emotions. They have that sense of freedom a little bit. Um, Also, outdoor learning helps children self-regulate. There's so many opportunities just to move. When they're inside, a lot of time is focused on, being kind of quiet and being still. We're sitting at the table. And so they're suppressing that natural urge to get moving around. And they don't have to do that when they're outside. So that's really helpful too. Students usually demonstrate fewer behavioral challenges outside. They can be loud. They can, all kids love running, so they can run. They're allowed to do that. There's fewer restrictive rules. Um, these also really help kiddos that have ADHD or neurodivergent learners, or even students who are experiencing trauma and stress. Many students who struggle to thrive inside the classroom become more confident and regulated when they're outside. So that's really nice. Let's see. Some of this stuff has kind of been talked about a little bit. Building confidence. Um, when children spend a lot of time outside, they can develop belief in their own abilities. So if they're successfully climbing a playground structure or a big old log, it can contribute to a sense of achievement and pride. Maybe you have kiddos that are a little scared of bugs, and they're hesitant. Maybe after they observe it closely for a while, they get some confidence and maybe they want to hold it now. So that's kind of a neat thing to experience too. Um, Building resilience again. When children encounter obstacles, they can learn to work through them. If like their fort that they've been working on so hard together collapses, maybe they can adjust their plan and try again and see if they can build it a little more sturdy this time. Um, Changes in weather, terrain, outdoor conditions encourage children to adapt and problem solve along the way. Also, working through disagreements during outdoor play helps children develop coping skills and flexibility. Um, and then it allows, again, healthy risk taking. Children learn to assess manageable risk, such as how high they can climb or how fast they can run. It helps with spatial awareness. They can judge distances, heights, and obstacles. And it just helps improve confidence again, and physical competence. So um, it really helps develop critical life skills that are needed beyond schooling and into your adult life. So it's great all around.
Thank you, Jen.
Yes.
The next section, we're going to pop back over to Marisa.
I like what you're saying too, Jen, about just their confidence level. I think it really builds self-esteem too, which is really huge for the kiddos. As for the cognitive and the academic benefits, the inquiry and the scientific thinking, I think the scientific thinking also it goes hand in hand with everything that is on this slide here. Whether they're building a dam or they're trying to, figure out what that baby bird they just caught is going to need to eat, or that lizard, what kind of habitat is it needing to live in? What things are going to be safe for it, and just observing the animal or the stick fort, figuring out what is going to happen. It's all, and it's so much curiosity. It builds so much curiosity, which is huge for the kiddos. Just what's going to happen when I turn over this log? What are these bugs? Like the vocabulary development for the bugs they're going to learn, the lizards, the names of the trees, the birds. I mean, just the just learning compass directions. I mean, there's just so much for them to. There's so many opportunities, and just the collaborative play, the communication, and again with the confidence, the self-esteem. It's going to help them build leadership, which is going to boost their confidence and their self-esteem too, which is huge. Um, and the problem solving, just what's going to work, for the kiddos. Try it again, figure out which, how much mud do you need, and they have to work together to figure out.
I think Marissa froze.
I think the happier the memories are for them. Hopefully the parents are on board also, and just the connection to nature, just taking care of their environment too. You're reminding them that this is our only earth that we get, and we have to really take care of it. And you know problem solving, how to use less plastic on the earth. Where does that trash go when we throw it away? We got to take care of our forests, and yeah, that's all I got for that one.
Thank you, Marissa. Okay, and we're going to stick with Marissa on this one.
Again, yeah, respect for the environment. That's what I'm talking about for the world. Just having them go out, get those little sticks from the dollar store for picking up trash. Have a trash day, like go on a walk, because you're already out there, and that's getting them out in the world instead of in their little classroom. And or just those little rubber gloves you already have for like making their little snacks and lunches. Put on a fun little rubber glove, and just find the trash, pick it up, and just take care of the earth, and respecting the environment too. You find that log, what's under it? Well, put the log back though when you're done, because that's somebody's little home. Somebody's family is under there, and you just disrupted it, and that's okay, because curiosity is important, but respect and leave the world a better place. As a kiddo, I think that's huge to promote for our kiddos, because the way our curiosity, lifelong positive associations with nature. I mean, yeah, just having them out in nature is going to help them connect, and these experiences are going to help the children develop autonomy and a sense of agency, which is so important for a lifelong learning to be in the forest. And they're going to teach their friends and hopefully their children, and they can just keep being outdoors and having all these wonderful things happen for them and their children and their friends and their family. So curiosity is endless. Let them explore.
Thank you, Marissa. I used to do that as a teacher. We would do during Earth Day week, we would do a trash pickup like you talked about with the gloves and Walmart sacks because everybody saves those, right? Uh,
Right.
We would do something funny though, because we would call it teacher trash or child trash, because
Oh.
unfortunately our school was close to downtown, and so you would encounter beer bottles and cigarette butts and other
Mhm.
unmentionables that are adults. And so we would have a little lesson on what's an adult, what is a teacher trash? What
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, stick with Marissa here too.
The how to do outdoor learning. Just yeah, just get them out there. You don't need a lot of things. You just need time to go out and breathe the fresh air with them. And you don't need expensive equipment, like just those little gloves. Just all the ideas. You just keep it simple. I mean, it's there. It's out your back door. It's ready. It's waiting for the children to be in it and run and yell and sing and be together and problem solve. And yeah, you don't need all the big things. Just keep it so simple. What did you find? Look at this pine cone. Oh, there's so many pine cones. Let's gather a bag of pine cones. You don't need expensive things. Just let's take the pine cones back to the class and sit outside if you can, depending on the weather, and make something out of the pine cones. Make a art piece, paint them into flowers, make them into the old classic bird feeders with the peanut butter, and the seeds. You can use those sticks right there to put some yarn around and some stickers, and that's their wand. So it doesn't require large amounts of things. It's right there. You can go outside with them and read books. You're already going to read a story to them. They love the story anyway. Read it to them outside. And if they have to have a their winter jacket on, it's okay. You're still breathing good air. Bring a bunch of blankets. Everybody cuddle up and let's read a story if it is colder out there. And go discover on your nature walks. Nature walks are so easy, and just having them stop for a moment and listen. Just let's use our senses in for 1 minute, depending on the age. I mean, maybe 30 seconds, maybe. We don't want to do too big, just depends on the age. But okay, now after that, what did you see? What did you smell? What did you feel? Ask them, just on a simple nature walk. And the sidewalk chalk is so much fun to what they can come up with. Like, have them, everybody draw one thing, or you don't even have to tell them, they will. And then make a story with it. And then let's stand and look at the beautiful art that you've made with the chalk. And now let's make a story out of it. Oh, this gorilla, climbed over onto this boat, and have them think together and collaborate a story that they've created together. The water.
Shoot, she froze again. The water exploration, that's,
They're
oh, there
ready.
you
They're
came back.
looking for that little bug, that water strider that landed on there, and why does it float on water? I don't, why doesn't it sink? There's just a world of opportunity in collecting the leaves, the sticks, the rocks. Paint those rocks. Make the leaves on the paint and press them on art. Cloud watching. Everybody needs to take a minute to cloud watch with kiddos, because there's a whole world of stories up there, and it's simple and it's easy and it doesn't require anything.
Agreed. Jen, you had said the name of the group, and I can't remember it now, but there is a movement where you paint rocks. Do you remember what it was?
Yep. There's a group in Rapid called Rapid City Rocks. And they all will paint little rocks and hide them throughout the city for people to find. And they have a Facebook group, and you can post it on the group and let them know where you found it. And just brings lots of smiles to everybody. So,
And there's really great acrylic markers right now, just like Amazon. I mean, $20 for like a couple dozen of them. And it's less mess for educators than painting a rock. They each get a color, and it's the permanent markers don't last as long, and the paint is messy, and you can do so many things with those markers. for the rocks.
Love it.
Tic-tac-toe. We made a tic-tac-toe with the kids.
The rock there that she has painted says unless. We had read the Lorax over Earth Day week, and so then we hid those rocks that said unless all over Spearfish for people to find.
Oh,
So,
oh, I love it.
okay. Sticking with you, Marissa, for this one, more examples.
Yeah, easy things here to do with your kiddos. Um, Something my kids like for outdoor snacks. I guess they're big into making a teas that you can use your imagination with. There's many different ways that you can create things from the forest to have an outdoor snack, or just bring your own, and be outside when you eat it. Loose parts play, that's endless opportunities. There's so many loose parts, the pine cones, the rocks, the sticks. We've kind of covered that. And the gardening, it can be so simple. If you don't have a fancy little garden bed, that's okay. Get a bucket, and just put some dirt in it, or a cup. Do the little grass guys, and just get them outside planting them, and watch them, have them observe, and see how much it grows every day. They can measure it. Or flowers, mud kitchens. I think sometimes people make them too complicated when they can be so simple. A table, muffin pan, some sand, some old cups. They love it. They'll play in that for hours. The bird watching is so wonderful. And if you don't have the binoculars, these are the best binoculars that the kiddos can use. And what does that bird sound like? Let's figure out the name, and again, building that vocabulary. And the sensory bins outside, easy. I mean, rice, the ice cubes, so many options for sensory bins. My kiddos loved blended Cheerios. That was a fun one for the little ones. I mean, it's not really outdoor. I mean, but they loved blended Cheerios because they could play in it forever, and they could eat it too. I don't know if that's the best for classroom teachers, I suppose, but
I think it's good for those younger kids. You have to have
yeah,
opportunities. Yeah. Yep.
right. They're gonna stick it in their mouth anyway.
Yep. Awesome ideas. Okay. I think we're popping over to Jen now.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this outdoor learning framework. It's called Notice, Wonder, Explore, and Extend. It's kind of a child-led inquiry cycle. It transforms simple outdoor play into scientific discovery. So it's encouraging preschoolers to engage their senses and follow their natural curiosity. So for the notice step, children will use their senses to observe their environment. And then you guys, as educators, will encourage this with prompts like, what do you see? What do you hear? How does that make you feel? Rather than immediately naming objects for them. The example there says you're noticing the worms after the rain. What are they doing? The next step is wondering. Children will formulate questions about their observations, and then the teachers will guide this phase with open-ended questions like, I wonder why the dirt is wet, or how do you think the bird knows where to go? Um, Wondering why those worms came out after the rain. And then we'll follow that with exploring. So children are able to investigate their questions through active hands-on play. This might involve digging in the mud to find those worms, or maybe they're inspecting things with magnifying glasses, or even just learning about rolling and roll down the hill together. And then finally is the extend steps where children connect their outdoor discoveries to new concepts and deeper investigations. So maybe they're bringing in fallen leaves for a counting or sorting activity, or reading books about bugs they just found, um, things like that. Okay, and then your role as a teacher, we want you to be a facilitator and not a director. So outdoor learning, we don't want to direct everything. And we want to be more intentional about supporting their exploration while keeping safety. and their development through the environment. So you as their teacher will act as their facilitator of learning. Maybe set up something for them to investigate instead of the constant instruction. Um, Maybe you have like a nature table with loose parts or a simple challenge like, hey, let's see what you can build with these pieces here. Um, the teacher also should observe what interests the children. I said this earlier, but this is super important. That way they're a little bit more invested and it'll extend their learning with more thoughtful questions that they may have. Um, we also want to be, right along with them. We want to co-explore. Um, we also want to make sure that we're kind of a safety manager as well. We don't want to over control their play, but we want to actively scan the environment for risks. But we still want to allow appropriate risk taking. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Um, we want it to be safe enough, but not risk-free, so that they're able to develop their confidence and coordination. Um, we also want to be kind of a language and thinking guide, maybe narrate what the children are doing outside to introduce some vocabulary for them, saying words like, oh, that's slippery, this on the tree, that's rough is called bark. Or maybe you want to prompt deeper thinking. What do you notice about how the water is flowing here? This will help transform play into richer cognitive learning. Um, just making sure that as a teacher, you're shifting from the instructor at the front to more of a skilled guide in the background when you're doing your role in their outdoor observations. You want to support their curiosity and just turn everyday outdoor moments into some meaningful learning experiences for them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, we are sticking with Jen at this one.
Okay. So a lot of times it's a little bit difficult or it seems like a barrier if you don't have a big, expansive space for these kids to go and explore in. But um, outdoor learning can be done in small, limited spaces. Even just a small yard or a patio, a fenced area, even a paved space can become a rich outdoor classroom. Outdoor learning can honestly happen anywhere. So, first, we're going to talk a little bit about some ideas if you do find yourself in a small outdoor space. Things like container gardens. I know Marissa talked about this a little bit. You don't need a big giant planter. You can grow smaller things like herbs, radishes, flowers, even. Um, it's kind of nice to have them in a smaller container because then you can take them inside over the weekend or if there's a long holiday, and then it's easier to send them home if that's what you want to do too. Sensory planters are also kind of neat. You can plant things like soft grasses to touch, mint and lavender, which will encourage smelling, um, and using, more of your senses in these too. So, water tables again, you can explore water in portable spaces. You can even use just buckets or pots or anything really. Empty sandboxes, those big turtles. I've seen teachers put water in those too. So just be creative. Nature baskets or sensory bins. You can bring pine cones and leaves and seed pods, things that you find out and about. You can bring them into your space and let them kind of explore things that they don't see in your playground, maybe. Um, and then they can sort it, count it, compare, or even create art with it too. Um, Loose parts, again, just all of those things you can bring in. You can add like an investigation station, maybe. Bring in some tools like magnifying glasses, clipboards, measuring tapes, just to kind of enhance that learning too. Portable art easels are one of my favorite things. They're super easy. All you need is a big giant piece of either cloth or paper. You can put it up against a fence and just let kids go to town on it and paint against, something outside. Is just such a neat new experience for them. A couple more ideas you can do: sidewalk nature scavenger hunts. Those are really fun. You can prepare this a little bit in advance. You can have them each have a little pre-made card and try and find everything on your little walk, or you can also think of things on the fly. Hey, who can find something orange while we're walking back to the classroom, Bird feeders outside your windows are really neat too. You can examine these birds because sometimes when you're outside, the kids are loud and they kind of scare those birds away. But if you have them right by your window there when you're inside, you can do some observations and see them a little bit more up close. Making little bird feeders is also really fun too and easy. Let's see, nature collections, inside and outside. You can bring those into your space there. Um, I threw in shadow exploration too, tracing shadows in the morning and the afternoon, and then you can kind of compare the size, the shape, the position. Why is the sun's position changing the shape of these shadows, and have kind of a neat little science experiment there. Outdoor obstacle courses are always super fun. Um, you can use basically anything that they can jump over or climb through or you know, climb on, and even getting them engaged in helping build an obstacle course. That's always fun for them to do too. Let's see, outdoor yoga and movement. Yoga is always a fun one. They like to lay around on the ground and kick their feet up in the air. So that's always a great activity for them. Just know that, your outdoor learning is not defined by the size of your space, but by the richness of the experiences that happen there. So a small outdoor area can still provide opportunities for all these exploration and observation and creativity, um, even though you're not, in the middle of the forest. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen.
Mhm.
And to dive even deeper into that, Marissa's going to give some more examples.
Again, yeah, I understand that not everybody can be right in the forest. Those little classrooms, Jen gave a lot of examples. Even if you can't go to a park, just go out in the parking lot of where you are at the classroom and do the parking lot, do movement games, copy what I do Simon Says, make shadows from the sun and trace them with sidewalk chalk. You can measure them. There's a lot of different shadows if you look it up, like of what you can make with the sun, of how to make yourself look like an animal, or and the kid. This slide is this is the right slide, is it? No, never mind. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Just you can make sundials out in the pavement. Even if you can't get to a park, and you just get a couple of rocks, 12 rocks, put them around, and talk about how the sun moves and the time, and get something in the middle so that you can see the shadows as it moves in the sun, and how the day goes, and the courtyards, the portable materials, and the nature trays. Just gather all of it up, and bring it out. If it's just a parking lot, that's okay. They're still outside, tie all those things together that in the nature tray. Make a little mobile with them. They're just happy to be outside, I think, and um, yeah, that's all I got on that one.
No,
Get a bucket of dirt, put some water in, and paint with
Yeah.
the mud, and then make
Yeah.
a mud pie. If you don't have it close by,
We don't have to overthink it.
right?
Okay, sticking with Marissa for some loose part ideas.
Again, those are super easy to just grab. And if you don't have the forest out your back door, just take your family on a hike that weekend and bring them into your classroom, and then and you've got it ready for them, to create. Uh, just sometimes I think like you said, you overthink it. If you just give them these loose parts, these things that you found in the forest, see what they make out of it. Just give them a couple of prompts and then let them go and let their curiosity run wild with what they can make from the things from the forest.
This picture is Marissa's class, and they were doing fairy houses. Is that right?
Yep, we did fairy houses, leprechaun homes, and then we did like a nature art. And yeah, that's a little a home for a gnome, fairy, leprechaun, and they all worked together. I divvied them up into teams of 3 or 4, and they just created them. I had just planned on going out to do this for about an hour, and I ended up walkie-talkieing in like, hey, we're going to be late. We're going to be still building these fairy houses because they're so engaged, and they just weren't ready to come in for lunch, which worked out fine. And we didn't bring anything with us. We just used the sticks and the moss and the leaves and whatever they found, and the tree trunks. And so yeah, we don't have to make it so hard. It can be so very simple.
Love that. Thank you, Marissa. And now we are popping back over to Jen.
All right. I just want to say that is one of my favorite thing is when they're so engrossed in their learning and exploring that they don't want to stop and there's just something magical about that.
Mm.
All right. Anyway, so now we're going to talk about the who. We're going to kind of break down by age of kids and give some ideas on how to engage them at every age with outdoor learning. So we're going to start off with some infants from about birth to 12 months. You can still bring these little babies outside. Sometimes people are a little nervous because they are so small and so new, but it's very beneficial for them too. Um, there's so many rich opportunities for sensory observation, touch, and discovery. And then as they grow, they're able to use their senses differently through active exploration and investigation. They experience different textures, sounds, sights, movements found in the natural environment. So I broke it down a little bit more into terms of developmental stages with some age appropriate ways to engage them. So from 0 to 3 months, I kind of focused on the sensory observation focus. So the purpose of sensory observation is to help infants learn and make sense of the world through their senses. They're using their sight, their touch, their hearing, smell, taste. Um, these experiences allow infants to just explore their world. They discover new objects that way. So things you can do, you can take stroller walks with them and just talk to them, narrate what you're looking at, trees, clouds, birds, so they can kind of start to put those words with those objects. Um, Let the babies look at moving leaves, shadows, sunlight filtering through the trees. It kind of sparkles a little bit. Just sitting together outside and listening to the different sounds like birds, and maybe you can hear some distant traffic or the wind blowing. Um, and then offering some supervised tummy time on a blanket where they can feel a little bit more independent. But some of these learning benefits, they're going to start doing their visual tracking, auditory development. They're using their ears, language exposure, and then just attention to what's going on around them. When they get a little bit older at about 3 to 6 months, you can focus a little bit on their touch and discovery. You want them to start exploring and learning through hands-on experience here. So you can allow some supervised exploration of different textures like grass or smooth rocks or rough tree bark, soft flower petals. You can hold the babies near flowers, let them kind of get the scent going and describe the colors. You can let them watch insects and butterflies and squirrels and playing simple games like blowing bubbles and letting them follow them around with their eyes. You're going to be working on some sensory processing, vocabulary again, visual attention, and they're starting to learn a little bit of cause and effect awareness too. So Then from about 6 to 9 months, we focus a little bit more on active exploration. So the infants are starting to become more mobile, and they're able to learn through direct interaction with their environment. So you can let the baby sit on the blanket and maybe reach for some natural objects that are safe and large enough not to be choking hazards. Encourage them to crawl on different surfaces like grass or packed dirt or maybe even sand. Even a picnic blanket, is a little bit different of a tactile experience for them. Fill up some containers with leaves and pine cones and shells so they can get them up close and feel and explore. And even just visiting a park or a playground where the older children are playing and let them watch and observe, that's kind of fun for them too. Um, and then when they get a little bit older, 9 to 12 months, we're going to do an investigation and movement focus. We want to encourage them to explore, observe, and learn through physical activity. So they're walking now. You can take them on little nature walks where they can point at things, and again, verbalize what they're seeing and maybe have them repeat it. Practice identifying animals and birds and flowers and maybe even the weather. If it's raining outside, look at the clouds. You can play some simple outdoor hide and seek games. Maybe you take a toy and you hide it somewhere and have them go look for it in a confined area. Um, you can let them help you fill up watering cans and pour water on things, and touch plants, and maybe even, if you're available or able to have some animals come in, maybe some pets, and let them touch animals. That's always fun too. Okay, here are some ideas that work across the whole first year. Blanket time outside and reading books outside is always fun. It's just a different experience. Watching the leaves and the clouds move, like Marissa was saying, everybody needs to do that and just calm down and refocus. And, you know, that's so, so helpful. Listening to birds, and maybe that inspires some song singing. Children love to hear people sing, and maybe they'll sing along with you too. Feeling the grass and gentle breezes on your skin, water and sensory play, looking at your reflections and puddles. And I think that's what's happening in this picture here. These are Rose's twins, and they're doing some water play on the sidewalk there, feeling it and seeing it. Listening to rain, that's always really fun too. And again, watching birds, maybe at a bird feeder or just flying around. With little ones, I wanted to point out some safety considerations too. When you take them outside, just make sure you avoid prolonged direct sunlight exposure because they have very sensitive skin at this age. Follow the parents' guidance regarding sunscreen. Some of them don't want sunscreen on them, some of them do. So just make sure you know what their wants are. Dress them appropriately for the weather and temperature. Again, like Marissa said, if it's cold outside, just bundle them up. It's still really good for them to be outside, even if it's cold, just for a little bit of time. Make sure that you're visually watching them and making sure they're not getting into any like toxic plants or standing water or anything that can make them sick. Um, just making sure that you're talking to them about what they're experiencing, so that they're getting that language development too.
Perfect. Thank you for bringing up the safety concerns, Jen. That's always valid, especially during the summer months.
For sure.
Okay.
All right, so we're moving on to toddlers, and we're going to focus a little bit on movement, cause and effect, and then the sensory exploration here. Outdoor learning, as we've been saying, is best when it's simple, sensory rich, and it's connected to everyday experiences. At this age, their attention spans are pretty short typically. Their language is developing very rapidly, and these kiddos are learning primarily through movement and exploration. They use both fine and gross motor skills when they're walking, digging, manipulating objects. They're working on their balance, not only on balance beams and things, but just walking now, their coordination, learning about body awareness, and just being confident in their abilities. Toddlers explore the cause and cause and effect relationships through these hands-on experiences. They're going to test ideas, observe the outcomes. They can adjust their actions based on what happened. If they're pouring water, and they can notice how it changes the dirt, it's turning it to mud. Maybe they're watching a ball roll down a hill and see that it gets faster and faster, and sometimes the direction changes. Um, Maybe they're dropping leaves into puddles and seeing if they float or they sink, and that can, spur some more discussions. What would sink if we put it in the water? So we're supporting early scientific thinking at this stage too, and problem solving. Um, let's see. So toddler sensory exploration relies heavily on touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste. And this is growing alongside language, thinking, problem solving skills. Exploration is guided by simple actions like reaching and grasping and mouthing and observing. And then we can move into more of purposeful actions like pouring and digging and sorting and building. Let's see. We're going to be exploring basic properties like texture and sound. You can talk about shapes with them, comparing and classifying. So kind of these bigger concepts, you can start to introduce them to these kiddos at this stage. And then the next slide here, we have some more ideas of things to do with kiddos that are around that age. Again, nature walks. These are great for everyone of every age. Maybe we have a little bit more of a purpose instead of just walking and talking about what we're doing. Maybe we're focusing on a theme, like let's find things that are green, or who can listen for the birds as we're walking. Feeling different textures maybe, and then having them talk about what they're seeing. So listening to what they're observing. Water play and pouring, again, this teaches many skills, filling and emptying. You can even have fun by introducing a washing station and having them wash some of the toy vehicles they have outside, or some animals or anything, or toy animals. So bird and animal watching. You can usually see birds and squirrels, rabbits, sometimes even dogs, walking by. Gardening together, digging and mud play. Toddlers love digging. They can help water plants. Maybe you have a garden and they can pick vegetables, or if you have an appropriate place for them to pick flowers, they really enjoy doing that too. Outdoor music and language, again, they love singing. You can try and even be intentional with it. If you're singing a song and you notice something that's in the song, you can pause and point to a real object. Or maybe if you see a spider, that can spark the Itsy Bitsy Spider song, and you guys can sing about it together. Ball and movement games, rolling a ball back and forth. Again, very simple, but it's very good for them to develop those large motor muscles, and having them chase bubbles around, challenge them a little bit by having them walk up some small hills that uses a lot of different muscles that they're not normally using by just walking around. You can make an obstacle course for them with just some chalk and have them follow a line. Simple, super easy. Let's see. You can do counting activities, just naturally count things. There's 1, 2, 3 steps here. I see 1, 2 birds. And don't worry about accuracy. We're just wanting to expose them to the numbers and words. And introducing everyday chores outside. So kids love helping out. So think of some jobs they can do to help you with, like watering those plants in your garden. Maybe it's fall and you're raking up leaves, and they can help carry the leaves over to a big pile so you can put it in a bag and recycle them. Picking up sticks from a pile. And again, maybe washing some of your equipment outside. That can be very helpful with that. And again, make sure you're following their curiosity rather than always trying to teach a lesson. So it's okay if they spend 10 minutes looking at a single leaf or watching an ant, because that's what we're looking for. That's what we want them to be doing at this age. So
Thank you, Jen. Okay, popping over to Marissa for the preschool age.
Preschools they're so fun. They're such a good age for so much curiosity and the inquiry. What is inquiry? It's it's a hands-on, it's a play-based, it's a learning approach to the children's natural curiosity, which drives their education for the world. And like you said, Jen, you got to slow down and just let them do it. Just I know you might have a plan in your head, but let them take that time and watch that ant. Where's that ant going? What's it gonna do? Why? All the curiosities and the cooperative play outside. We're working on a game, whatever kind of game that they're doing. They've got to work together. That's huge in life. Just help them figure out how that they can just cooperate together to get that plant watered. You can all work together to make it happen. And problem solving skills are huge for their whole life. Like we were talking about, getting them outside, even if it's cold, bundle them up. Well, we don't need to bundle them up. I mean, at this age, preschoolers, this can be your whole day lesson plan. If you're lesson planning, like, this is how you put your gloves on. Oh man, there's all these 5 fingers. Where are we going to start? How are we going to get these on? And then the zipper, and problem solving all of the little parts that you might need to have on to be outdoors. And we're just there to guide them, and just help them enough to where they can succeed and feel good about what they were attempting to do.
That was one of my favorites, is they would come with just their gloves on to you. Now what?
Yeah.
Well, we're
Right.
gonna
Yeah, or like you said too, like, I don't want to wear my gloves. Okay, well, here's the choice: bring your gloves with or wear them.
Yep.
And maybe this kid didn't want to wear them, and he goes out and his little fingers are pretty cold. So maybe next time he'll put them on before he goes out, or he's got them with, and then we're here to assist him, with all those fingers. Um, and these are great ideas for preschoolers, or any age over preschool, I think, too. The nature journals are so simple, and it's such a calming way, I think, of getting the kids engaged with their senses and everything, and just give them one little prompt. Maybe they don't even need one, but a little prompt of, let's write in your nature journals what's one thing that you see, and then take that moment to talk about it if they're wanting to share. And just hear them, their little voice. They want to be heard too. They want to show you this picture of this bird that they've drawn. Scavenger hunts are so fun. I think we covered it earlier. It can be very simple, or you can kind of think ahead of, here's a little printout bingo sheet of, find something red, something soft. Like you said, you're teaching them something that's rough. Simple things, and give them a little baggie to put it in, so they've got their little collection. And then maybe when they're done, let's make a piece of art out of it, or a picture frame, glue it on something that they feel so proud of the things that they were supposed to find, and make something of it, a memory, because mud and feathers and all of this outdoor that we've been talking about, it makes all the memories, it makes it really stick. And building structures, so much fun. Just remind the kiddos, you're remember how long that stick is. We always would say, unless we were building a fort, your stick had to be shorter than your arm, and that was the safe way of doing that. But you can build structures in so many different ways, and they love creating. And then once it's done, then they feel so good, and they can go inside that and then read a book, whatever they want to do. Just sit, have their snack. They're outside. That's what we're going for. Measuring the shadows. Yeah, you're promoting their learning their numbers, and big and small, and that's a simple outdoor activity. And the gardening, we've definitely touched on this. It can be so easy, and just to see that life grow from that small seed, going into dramatic play outdoors. The teaching them the seed, all of the things that go into the play of the life cycle, the water cycle. Act those things out. That's how they're going to learn, and that's how it's going to stick in their head. Of, okay, now you're the seed, and now you're the sprout, and you know body movement. It's going to stick with them, and that's easy way to educate them in the outdoors. And the obstacle courses, so easy to do. Parkour. Just parkour the obstacle courses. Tree, uh, tree, rock, stick, and just tumbling and hopping. Little just little preschoolers they're ready to do anything you ask of them. The yoga, the nature mandalas. I think this is another calming thing for kids, that in a world that is moving so fast, especially their little brains and their little bodies. Let's work together on that cooperation that we talked about earlier, and let's make one circle out of all the materials that we find. Or just make a hopscotch out of sticks, or just surround a tree with those beautiful leaves. And I think that's a new thing to a lot of kids that I don't know that they've all tried, but it's simple and easy, and calming, and promotes kind of just a mindfulness. The fairy houses, I've got a world of fairy houses here right now because I'm camping with my kids. And simple logs and stones, and just a little doorway, and trap doors, just using the materials around you to create their little worlds that are in their heads. And walking sticks, sometimes hiking with kids can be something that they don't all love, but you get that special walking stick, and you maybe have that feather tucked in it, and now you're ready to conquer the world because you've got your walking stick to get through this outdoor experience, whether in a classroom or with your family together. The school age kids, yeah, the STEM. Everybody knows that STEM is the science and the technology, the engineering and the mathematics. It's so important because it equips the students with critical thinking, problem solving, and real world application skills that helps them get ready for the real world out there. And it develops the critical thinking and the problem solving. They analyze the challenges and figure out solutions, and they figure out their ideas to prepare them for real problems. And they're really needed in the life of just this technology driven economy that we have. It enhances them for skills that they'll need later in life. And it encourages, like we talked about, the collaboration earlier, and the creativity, teamwork, the communication, and the environmental awareness. We have to take care of our earth. This is the only one we get. And some kids just don't even they don't even understand that yet. Something easy, just in your classroom or your home, keep the trash for a whole week. A recycle trash and a normal trash, or a compost trash. Keep this, and then now where does this all go? It doesn't really all go away. It's on our earth. So the less plastic we can use, just trying to promote single use plastic to take care of our world, and riding our bikes down to the park if you can, instead of driving our cars for pollution. And the leadership collaboration, that just builds so much self-esteem and confidence in kiddos that will take them through to their college years. And just being outside is, I think, where they should be, and helps them learn further onto like, yes, I like the mapping trails. Like you are always going to need to know your compass directions. Your I like to do scavenger hunts in with the mapping the trails out and knowing your directions, because um, it's you gotta start knowing that to understand where you're at in your world. If you get lost in the forest, it helps you figure out where you're at, and having them go 10 steps north and 5 steps west, just to help figure out orient where they are. And nature photography is so fun if you could share a camera as a classroom. That it's so neat to see what they think is interesting and what their little world is. That log, that little tiny mushroom that no one else's eyes saw, or that little spore, they can see it. They're out there in the outdoor world. And the habitat studies, you can't just catch a lizard and keep it in a box. They need specific things to live and breathe and eat. If you're going to observe it for an hour, then you can't. You have to give it what it needs to survive, and then let it go back into its world. Um, and just challenging the kids on um, working together as a team. And what better place to do it than the outdoors? And geocaching is super fun. There's easy apps on your phone. It's such a fun surprise, and it's such the anticipation of trying to find the geocache, and bringing your little treat that you want to leave for the next person with. And you, I think you can only do I mean, you could do geocaching anywhere, but I think outdoors, that's the best place to do it, and that's an easy way to get them out there. And the apps don't cost any money to uh, to find them, or you could kind of do your own preschool or classroom geocaching just as a whole. Touched on orienteering and potions mixing, just getting flower petals mixed up and sand, and crushing up old seeds and just mixing it. The kids just love to have things to put together, and then what is your potion called, and what does it do if you drink it? And uh, yeah, those are great for preschoolers too. And yeah.
I love doing potion mixing when I was teaching. But we also would read Harry Potter every year. And so that was always a huge hit to go develop our potions then.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to stick with Marissa on this section.
Risky play and outdoor learning, they're only going to know their limits. There's always going to be the parents that are like, don't do that, this will happen. Well, let them do that to an extent. You don't want them to get hurt, but cause and effect. If you do this can happen. Just knowing their limits is also just knowing their body, and it really allows them to figure out the challenges and overcome fears, maybe even like of balancing on that high log, or climbing that tree. You got up there, now how are you going to get back down? I mean, if they need you, let's just retrace your steps. How did you get up there? And let's figure out this challenge and overcome it, and get back down. And then when they do that, it builds their confidence, that they were able to do it. Maybe they were nervous about it, but they figured it out, and you were there to just guide them so that they were safe and there was no injuries. And they feel good, like I did do that. And yeah, helps them develop their body awareness of how strong is my body, how far can I jump, and just knowing their balance. And yeah, they're learning their limits safely. I've got kiddos that just don't want to wear shoes, and okay, but wait, know that this could happen, and got a big old cut toe right now, but you chose to not have your shoes on, and I'm glad you're outdoors, but just remember to be safe about what you're doing. And this is my class here. That's my morning mindful group. We would go out and we would find sit spots, and I would make them sit and learn all, just engage their senses, and listen and learn and smell and see their outdoor world. And then we would talk about it and what did you see and smell and hear, and and we would go hiking, and this is a little course behind us that is there's just a couple of trees with some ropes that they would swing to, and then there's just logs for them that they've got to you know jump to and overcome challenges or learn their body awareness and balance across the log to get over to the wall that had sticks that you had to climb across to, and carrying heavy objects. Yeah, oh, I can't lift this log. Cooperation, through other kiddos, like, let's help do it together. Let's all work together and move this, whatever it is, heavy object log and using tools of supervision. Little boys, they want to have knives, and they love fire, and it's important to them, and we just have to help guide them with the supervision that they're not going to safely, because they're interested in it. Again, their curiosity has led them there, so let's just help them learn further about it, and also being safe and how to use that tool.
Perfect. I love it. My eldest has taken up wood whittling, so we're definitely leaning into knife safety right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, wood, yeah, yeah.
now we're going to pop over to Jen for our last section.
All right. We're so lucky that we live in this area because we have so many options to get these kids outside in environments that are just so fun and enriching. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some ideas for field trips in the Black Hills. I used to work with school age kids in the summertime, and we would just go and explore the hills. So this is a really fun section for me to talk about. So some of the spots kind of here and around Rapid City, um, the outdoor campus, which is right here in town. They have so many neat things like nature trails. They have a fish observation tank. They have a big, huge pond where you can see fish swimming around in there too. Um, you can do wildlife observation. They offer a bunch of classes that you can take, fishing. I took a group of kiddos to one where they dissected owl pellets, and so they're learning all these really fun things. Um, it's a super cool place for sensory walks and nature studies. So, and then there's Storybook Island, which is really great for outdoor imaginative play. There's a whole bunch of like dramatic play opportunities so they can act things out while walking through the park. There's a bunch of literacy connections there. There's a bunch of references to stories and rhymes that they can all talk about and recite together. Super fun option there. Both of those first two are free also. So we have Reptile Gardens right outside of town here. They have a ton of different types of animals. So you can talk about these animals, and there's tortoises, snakes, gators, birds, prairie dogs, even. So you can discuss their different habitats and um, how they're the same, how they're different, do a little science inquiry. You can also talk about all the different species of plants that they have. They have a ton of gorgeous tropical flowers and plants on their grounds, so that's really neat too. Memorial Park here in Rapid is a great place for nature walks. They also have a bunch of really fun playground equipment for some gross motor activities. It's a really good place to do like a picnic or just some outdoor group experiences. So then we have Bear Country. Again, a great place to observe the wildlife. You can talk about animal adaptations, things that help the living animals survive and thrive in their different environments that they live in. You can talk about how they find food and how they escape predators and how they endure extreme climates. And it's a good place to, again, talk about environmental awareness and understand how humans impact the world, and how that affects animals too. And then in Spearfish, there's an amazing fish hatchery, the DC Booth Fish Hatchery. They just have tons of tanks that you can go and look at all the fish. You can feed them. It's a great place to learn new vocabulary, um, engaging in lots of conversations with the hatchery staff, with educators, and with their peers too. And then having them discuss it afterward. You get some of that social emotional development, participating in that shared learning experience, practice listening, turn taking. Um, Canyon Lake here in Rapid City too. Um, you can observe they have got a bunch of ducks and geese and fish, insects, different trees. They have this beautiful willow tree that you can go and look at, and that's one of our favorite places to visit. It's just so peaceful. Um, you can learn about, again, the needs of some of the living things, the different foods they use, what their shelters look like. And that's a really neat place to go to explore seasonal changes. The leaves on the trees there change just vibrant, beautiful colors. And then seeing what the animals do when the weather changes too is pretty neat. A couple more ideas. We have a whole bunch of really cool lakes in the area. So Pactola, they have some really neat hiking areas. Sheridan Lake does too, and Sylvan Lake too. Custer State Park is a neat place to drive through and observe, some of those dangerous animals like the buffalo, and maybe you could see a coyote or a fox or something. Dinosaur Park here in town, another good free one. They have developed a whole bunch of really neat nature trails that you can take your kiddos on a little hike. Cave tours is another one that was really fun. They're a little bit more pricey, but it's really neat. You can talk about things like how the internal temperature of a cave is always a lot cooler. It can be like 100 degrees outside, and we go in the cave and everybody's cold. We need a jacket. There's a bunch of neat rock formations like the stalactites, the stalagmites, and how do those form? So that's kind of a cool sciencey place to check out. We have tons of local hiking trails. Right here in town, we have M Hill. Caveat, make sure to watch for snakes because I've heard that there's a lot of them out and about this year. Stratable's just right outside Rapid, and that's a nice, easy little hike down to see where they launch some hot air balloons. The Rock Maze is a little bit out of town where you can go see these really neat rock formations and kind of climb in and through and around and just explore nature. We've got farmers markets, so you can talk about produce, and the Chapel in the Hills is great. Mary Hall Park is one that people don't really know about, but it's here in Rapid. They've got just a bunch of trees, and it's a really nice place. It's shaded when it's hot out. And then community gardens too are a neat place to visit as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. Lots of
Yeah.
great ideas. We do have one more section we're going to go really quickly through because we got about 5 minutes left. So
Okay.
Marisa, pop back over to you for the last
Yep.
one.
Okay. Gold panning too, just real quick. I'm sure you guys all obviously, but that's fun for kids. And it's all over the hills. And the barriers and reframes. You tell those parents your kids are gonna get dirty, and you just, mud is what make memories stick. So just deal with it. Send them in dirty clothes. We don't care what they look like. We want to get them dirty. We want to get them in the dirt. And I'm, that the mud is just, they're going to have more memories the dirtier they get. Just in full circle, those mood boosting microbes, in the dirt, and follow their curiosity. Whatever they're interested in, that's what they're going to stick with them more because they want to learn about it. And in many seasons it can happen. Bundle them up. That's still teaching them how to get those zippers up and all those gloves on, and watch those snowflakes. None of those snowflakes are alike. They're all different, and catch them on your tongue. and all the developmental benefits. We covered all of that. We just got to get it in some of the parents' minds of why it's so important. Going back to the 80 the ADAD. I forgot what it's called. The
ADA. Yeah. Yep.
Right, yeah, right. They said it, so
Yep.
it's we have to do this, and right again, just think small. It doesn't have to be huge and big and complicated. And Yeah, the messiness it does it's enriching experience. It's meaningful. It's their sensory learning. It's the stories they tell of how muddy they got and how that shoe almost didn't come out of the quicksand, and just that's gonna build their mind and their creativity and fill their hearts with the outdoor love that they'll carry on into the future generations.
Perfect. Okay, we are at next steps, everyone. So we're going to quickly talk about these three. Marissa, if you want to tell us a little bit about the Junior Ranger program.
Super wonderful program. Doesn't cost a dime. You can also do it in state parks as well. The Custer State Park, that's a separate entity, but that can happen there. But what is the Junior Ranger program? It's free. Like I said, it's an activity-based educational initiative. It's run by the National Park Service. It invites the kids and the families to explore and learn about the natural and the cultural treasures of the park. And you get to earn a Junior Ranger badge. And their motto is explore, learn, and protect. So helps them take care of the earth, but also learning about their world around them. And you can take your preschoolers out. It's okay. My girl started when she was 3. Let them scribble on the page or draw that animal. They're not going to say no to a cute little 3-year-old with their little booklet. No, they're so excited. Those park rangers want them to be in these.
Shoot. Okay. Jen, you want to tell us about the state parks since Marissa
Yeah,
froze?
for sure.
Badge.
We were just gonna highlight South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. They're the ones that put together the outdoor campus that I talked about earlier. It's really neat because everything there is free, including the classes that they offer. And they use funds from the sale of hunting and fishing licenses to fund this. So it's there for you all to use. So please do.
Perfect. And then the last one is ECC is a part of the South Dakota Early Childhood Enrichment System. And one of the resources I sent in that email was our resource hub, which is completely free for you guys. So if you are looking for lesson plan ideas, if you're looking for parent handbook ideas, if you're looking for maybe advice on challenging behaviors, it's a plethora of resources. Our professional growth slide. South Dakota Association for the Education of Young Children. We are the local state of NACCE chapter. I'm your Black Hills rep. If you want to know more about it, it's just a collection of professionals helping to elevate you guys and be treated as professionals. If you don't have your CDA, you can reach out to any of us at ECC. We do offer this for free for licensed program providers still. Scholarships still available. And then I left Black Hills State University logo up here because if you do have your CDA, that does articulate into free college credit. You can get your associates in early childhood education. And if you have your CDA, that's 11 credit hours for free. Also wanted to mention if outdoors are particular interest to you, they have a bachelor's in outdoor education.
Oh,
We are going to go quick through the pre-submitted questions so we can get to the eval. So experts, what are some low-cost materials we can use to create meaningful outdoor learning experiences?
bubbles are easy. You can make your own. You don't have to buy the little plastic bottles. Just make your own with Dawn dish soap and maybe some corn syrup to make it last longer, and get a wire and a stick, and you can make the big ones happen. We made fairy dust the other day, which is a piece of sidewalk chalk, like we talked about through the whole program, and salt. Then you put it in a bag and you mix it, and then it turns colors and it's kind of sparkly. And my 5-year-old loved it. And you can make all different colors, and you can also talk about what colors will make what other color. Those are 2 simple, easy, low cost materials.
Okay, Jen, will you take question 2? How do we
Yeah.
balance allowing children to take risks while still keeping them safe?
I think the big key here is just making sure that you're present as their teacher. You don't want to control what's going on, but you want to observe closely, and then just step in only if there's significant risk or if they might get injured. Otherwise, you should just allow them time to solve their own problems. Like Marissa said, figure out how to get down and navigate challenges on their own, and that's super, super helpful for them.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay, we've reached the end. So thank you, everyone, for spending your evening as we talked about this powerful topic. And just that reminder that outdoor learning isn't just about getting the kids outside or providing opportunities for physical activity. It's about creating these environments where curiosity is encouraged, movement is valued, and children can engage with the world through meaningful hands-on experiences. So tonight, hopefully you guys gained some appreciation and maybe some reignited a fire to get those kids back outside and just allow them to get messy and dirty, because that's where all these beautiful learning opportunities are actually taking place. So I want to thank you again for taking your time out of your busy schedules and investing in being a high quality early childhood educator. I am not going to navigate over to our trainings right now. I'm going to get to the evaluation so that I don't keep anyone here longer. But I did want to say our new calendar is out. So if you have been waiting for it, our next 6 months is published on our website, as is our new Evening with the Experts. So we have our next 6 published there. And I will go back to that once I drop this in the chat. So there is the evaluation link is either in the chat or you can scan that QR code there on the slide. I'll leave that up for a second longer. I will let the experts give some closing remarks. Then I'll go back to the Evening with Experts poster for you guys to see that. And then I have a video to play if anybody wants to stick around for that as well. So I will turn it over to Marissa if she wants to have some closing remarks first.
Thank you for having me. Get your kids out there. And remember, the dirtier your kids are, the more the memories will stick and the enriching their growing up can be.
Thank you, Marissa, for joining us. I was so happy you agreed to humor me. Okay, Jen?
I just hope everybody feels a little bit more inspired and confident in getting their kiddos outside, and just realize how important it is. And it'll help you feel better too. So make sure you spend time outdoors. I had a really nice time tonight, and it was super awesome teaching alongside Marissa. I had a really good time.
Likewise, Jen.
Thanks.
Thank you, experts. Okay, I'll go back to this slide really quick, let you look at it or take a picture, and then I'll pull up that video for anyone that wants to watch that. It's just a little short about the importance of learning outside. Our July, we have Natasha Robbins. She created the junior kindergarten program for Spearfish School District. She was actually my eldest kindergarten teacher, and she's going to be talking with ECC's Kayla Herbener on what true kindergarten readiness looks like. Super excited for that. In August, we have what an early childhood teacher needs to know about early intervention, and that is the special education director for Belfouche School District, Caleb Case, his early intervention teacher, Julie Erskine, and then myself will be talking. In September, we have the January reschedule. My son had an emergency appendectomy in January, so we had to cancel the January one. This is Anna Waterland Dykstra. She is a certified nurse midwife for Oyate, and Ashley Young here at ECC, and they're going to be talking about the importance of prenatal and infant high quality practices for you guys. Then in October, we have the importance of relationship-based practices in early childhood. And we have a play therapist from Spearfish, Jessica from Enzo Mental Health, and then ECC's own Huda Jabbar. In November, we are going to be talking about intentional play in early learning environment. And we have Dr. Marcy Drew. She works for PBS, South Dakota Public Broadcasting. And then ECC's Sean Edwinson. And then finally in December, we have, which if you've all been on any of these or taken any trainings from myself, you know the importance that we preach about pyramid model. We're going to be flipping this and not in the classroom, but what about the adults in early childhood? And this will be Dr. Candace Deal Bartel and then ECC's own pyramid model guru of Carol Foster. I hope you guys all can attend any and all of those that you're interested in. And now we're going to watch this video. And when you complete the evaluation, you are free to go. I hope I see you all in July.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Every piece of evidence, every study out there is going to tell you that play-based learning is the right thing to do for students. When kids are playing outdoors, they're actually setting themselves up for the foundations of learning.
Just what we know about brain development and children's developmental stages, that hands-on learning is key to all of it. So you can teach concepts all day long, 6 hours a day, talk at children, but they're only going to retain about 20% of that unless they're able to practically apply that.
We discount so much of what they're actually invested in. We say they're just playing, and they're learning, they're developing.
So when you're pouring and playing with water or building, these are basic math and sorting skills and volume and understanding different concepts.
When you're outside, not just listening to an instructor telling you things, and you're actually being able to put those concepts into practice, that's what the benefit of the outdoor space is in terms of school readiness and also academic achievement.
So outdoor classrooms and school gardens and preschool gardens lets kids be able to learn in their environment all around them.
So an outdoor classroom to me is just an extension of an indoor space, but allowing more autonomy and freedom to happen.
Research will say that students who are outdoors and interacting with each other, they'll use more language, they problem solve more often, they naturally explore and discover things on their own.
They are exploring and problem solving and collaborating in a more natural environment, literally, but also it's not about teacher directed, it's them directing their learning.
So they set up their interests. If they want to start climbing off the rocks or they see a butterfly land on that flower, they direct their own learning.
So it's on their terms, it's student-centered, and why wouldn't we want student-centered learning?
Let's put the frogs together. You can put the frogs on.
So this enclosed courtyard was dedicated to early ed here at Harding, which was great, but it had a colossal play structure in the middle that all we could do as teachers and adults in the space were just watch this play structure. You couldn't engage with the kids because you're just watching them. And to have now this sort of space, it's like I can bring out projects and activities and have the kids engage. They pop in and out on their own. And I definitely do not use as many Band-Aids. And no ice packs.
We had a researcher come in before the space was built, when it was just one large play structure, and then come in after the space was built, and they did heat maps. And it was amazing to see how the students would really cluster around the play structure when it was out here, and now that it is this space now, they sort of dissipate.
Kids were more spread out, they were conversing more, they were doing independent play as well as group play, and they didn't need to have all the, what did you make? Is it a castle? Sure. I love it. I feel the changes, but to have that study actually prove that what I feel really happened was just like, wow, this is kind of a neat experience.
So outdoor classroom is more than just investing in a yard, right? It's a whole mindset and philosophy of how you're going to educate young children.
Learning isn't just between our four walls, but it happens all around. It happens through conversation on our walk outdoors, our walk to the garden, and it's an extension of that learning space.
Our students often start out when they're little, very curious, and over time, you see kids lose that. And so my goal is I really want to keep that curiosity and foster it. And I think in the outdoor spaces is probably the most natural place for that.
I think the more kids get this type of opportunity, the less they're going to rely on screens, because they could go in their backyard and find almost the same things.
If we want kids off of technology, we need to provide them something else and reintroduce them to natural play.
So if you don't have a lot of money to get a conceptual design, hire an architect, it's just about going outdoors, right? So every single school hopefully has a grass area and a tree, right? So start by just going out there, maybe with some sketchbooks.
You know, an easy one would be art. Move the easels outside. And if you have a garden, put the easels in the garden. Building outdoors, using natural materials to build outdoors.
But I also want people to realize, like, things can be donated. You know, you can ask your families, hey, do you have an old kitchen table and chairs? You know, like, I mean, you can ask for things that don't have to be bought new. And the thing I've learned is, like, whatever you have inside, try to offer it outside. So if you have blocks inside, have outdoor blocks.
I think that's one of the things that I've noticed, just adding in different things to our current playground. Before, it's just a play structure. Putting in a lot of sensory experiences. It changed the dynamics. And so, like, our playground supervisors, they were like, wow, this is so cool. We love having all these different things. It's really made a huge difference.
The play structure, it's always there, but they seem to gravitate to tabletop activities because, again, it's sensory. They have control of their learning, of any of those risks that they're taking.
This is such the opportunity. Every single center, every classroom needs to have outdoor elements for their children.
So we want curious, eager learners who are just excited to come to school and are inquisitive in the whole process. Because all of those skills are the skills that are building kids up to be capable and competent learners when faced with a 5th grade math lesson on fractions or a 2nd grade writing lesson.
I think there's just so much opportunity when we see ourselves as explorers and adventurers and risk takers. It builds confidence.
If we give children the opportunity to explore their environment, they're going to learn everything we want them to learn. Our job then is just to set up that environment, facilitate an opportunity for them to ask their own questions and discover their own answers.
If there's an opportunity to help children be physically healthier, emotionally more stable, socially engaged, and is supporting them academically, why wouldn't we do that?